The stars were full of life. Not just light, but whole worlds with beings who had lived for thousands of years. Some were tall, some short. Some had scales, some had fur. Some could think like machines. Others could read minds. One group of these beings called themselves the Deathworld Alliance. They were made up of species from planets that were dangerous, places where life had to fight just to survive. These aliens had seen firestorms, acid oceans, and skies that cracked open like glass. They believed only the strong should rule the stars. For a long time they stayed among themselves. They did not trust soft or weak species, but now they wanted to grow. They wanted to see if new kinds of beings could handle the galaxy's dangers. So they looked out into space, past their own systems, and found a planet that confused them. It was called Earth. Earth was strange. It had wild weather, big seas, and animals that killed each other for food. And on it lived a species called humans. Humans were small compared to many alien races. They had no natural armor, no psychic powers, and no special weapons built into their bodies. But somehow, they had taken over their world. They had built cities, flown into space, and started to look outward. They were also violent. The Deathworld Alliance watched them from afar. They saw wars, pollution, and lies. But they also saw something else, something rare. Humans never stopped trying. Even when things went wrong, even when people died, humans kept going. They built again. They fought again. They learned from mistakes and made new ones. This caught the attention of the Council of the Deathworld Alliance. They talked for weeks. Some said humans were too wild. Others thought they might be useful. In the end, they made a choice. They would invite humans to join the alliance. Not as equals yet. Not as members. Just as guests. A test. If humans could survive among the stars, maybe they could be trusted. If not, then they would be sent back to Earth and forgotten. A rival ship came down from the sky. It was smooth and silver, shaped like a drop of water. It landed in a field near a city called Denver. No one knew what to do at first. Governments argued. Soldiers got ready. Scientists watched from far away. Then the door opened. Out stepped three beings. One had skin like stone and eyes like glowing coals. Another was tall and thin with 4 arms and no mouth. The third looked almost human, except for its blue skin and the way it floated above the ground. They spoke in perfect English. "We come in peace," said the floating one. "The Deathworld Alliance invites your kind." They asked for diplomats. They wanted to talk face to face. After much debate, the United Nations chose 3 people to meet them. Laura Bennett, a woman who had spent years negotiating between countries. Jason Morrow, a former soldier with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. Drake Ellis, a young man who loved machines and could fix anything. They were brought aboard the alien ship. Inside, everything was clean and bright. Lights moved like water. Doors opened without touching them. The air smelled like nothing at all. They met more aliens. Some had tentacles. Some had wings. One had no body at all, just a voice inside a ball of light. Laura tried to talk. She used words like mutual respect and diplomatic relations. The aliens listened, but they didn't seem surprised. They had heard this before. They had seen how other species acted, how they begged for power, or tried to hide their fear. Humans were different. They asked questions. Drake wanted to know how the ship worked. Jason asked about weapons. Laura asked why they were here. The floating alien answered, "You are interesting." That was not what she expected. The trip, they traveled through space. Stars passed by like raindrops on a window. Planets spun below them. They saw moons with rings and gas giants that glowed red. At last, they arrived. The station was huge. It floated in deep space, surrounded by nothing but stars. It was called the Azalari Concordia Station, a place where many species came to talk, trade, and sometimes fight. They were shown around. Laura saw how different cultures lived. Some slept standing up, some ate light. One species wore their brains on the outside. She tried to understand them, tried to find common ground, but it was hard. Everywhere she looked, there was silence when humans walked by. Not anger, not hate, just watching, waiting. They were not sure what to make of these humans. First impressions. During a meal, Jason noticed something. He sat with a group of aliens. They had 4 legs and spoke in clicks. When someone spilled food, the others laughed. It sounded like wind chimes. But when Mike Taylor, another human guest, dropped his plate, the room fell silent. Mike smiled nervously. He bent down to pick it up. No one helped. Later, he told Jason, "They don't like us, do they?" Jason didn't answer. He had already figured it out. These aliens weren't afraid of humans. They were curious. Like scientists looking at an animal in a lab, watching to see what it would do. The rules. The next day they met the council. It was made up of 10 species, each one older than Earth itself. They laid out the rules. Humans must not carry weapons. Humans must not interfere in galactic politics. Humans must obey station law. Laura tried to argue. "We want to learn," she said, "to help, to grow together." The council agreed, as in theory, but they added one thing: "You will be observed." Laura frowned. "Observed?" "Yes," said the floating alien, "to see if you belong here." She didn't like the sound of that. Neither did Jason, nor Drake, because being watched meant you were not free. And freedom was something humans always wanted, even when it got them into trouble. The spark that night, something happened. 2 aliens got into a fight. One was tall and green with horns like a goat. The other was short and gray with eyes on stalks. They started shouting, then pushing. Someone threw a punch. Before anyone could react, Jason was already moving. He stepped between them, grabbed both by the shoulders, and slammed them against the wall. They froze. So did everyone else. Jason looked at them. "Cool off," he said. Then he let go and walked away. Silence filled the room. No one spoke. No one moved. The 2 aliens looked at each other, then at Jason, then at the humans still sitting nearby. One of them whispered to another, "They do not follow the model." Another replied, "No, they are wild." The aftermath word spread fast. The humans had broken protocol. They had touched aliens without permission. They had acted like they belonged. Security footage was reviewed. Council meetings were held. Behind closed doors, voices rose. They cannot be trusted. They are unstable. They may become dangerous. But one voice said something else. Or perhaps, we have invited something we do not understand. After the fight, everything changed. The Deathworld Alliance had studied many species. They had watched them grow, talk, trade, and sometimes fall apart. But never before had a guest acted like Jason did. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't wait for help. He just moved, fast and sure, and that scared them. Not because he hurt anyone, but because he made choices no one could predict. Watching closely. Behind closed doors, the council met again. They looked at reports. They watched videos. They listened to voices. "Humans," said the floating alien, "do not act like others." A tall green being with 3 eyes nodded. "They do not follow rules unless they must. They question everything. And they solve problems. Strangely." Another council member, a small bug-like creature, clicked its claws together. "We should stop this now," it said. "Send them back to their planet." There were nods, but not from all. One voice came from the shadows. It belonged to a being called Vorik, a stone-skinned giant who had seen many wars. "No," he said. "We watch longer. We learn." Others hesitated. But Vorik was old. He had seen stars die. So they agreed, for now. Learning fast back on the station, life went on. Laura tried to keep things calm. She talked to the aliens. She smiled when she didn't want to. She used soft words and slow steps, but she knew something was wrong. She felt it in how people looked at her, like she was part of an experiment. Drake noticed too. He spent his time in the tech labs, pretending to study alien machines. But really, he was doing something else. He was learning how to break into systems. He found strange codes, hidden files. One file showed a list of species labeled unpredictable. At the bottom was a new name, humanity. He copied it. Then, he shared it with Jason. Jason read it and laughed. "Well," he said, "guess we're not welcome after all." A different kind of training. While Drake worked behind screens, Jason worked with people. He started small, just a few humans, some ex-soldiers, some security workers. Some just wanted to stay safe. They trained in secret. They learned how to move quietly, how to listen, how to react if someone attacked. It wasn't war training. Not yet. But it was close. Some aliens saw them. They didn't like it. They sent messages to the council. The humans are preparing for conflict. They are building weapons. They do not trust us. No one asked what the humans thought. No one cared. A broken promise one day. Laura got a message. It was from the council. They wanted to talk. She went alone. Inside the chamber, she sat across from the floating alien. "I am told," it said, "that your kind does not understand peace." Laura frowned. "That's not true. We want peace. That's why we're here." The alien tilted its glowing body. "But you do not act like peaceful beings." "What do you mean?" "You fight. You train. You hide knowledge. You break our laws." Laura leaned forward. "We don't know the rules. We're trying to learn. But you won't tell us what they are. You watch us but never talk to us. You call us guests but treat us like prisoners." Silence filled the room. At last, the alien spoke. "You are not ready." "For what?" "To stay." Laura felt cold. "What does that mean?" "You will leave soon." "When?" "Soon enough." And that was the end of the meeting. The plan begins. When Laura told Jason and Drake, they didn't look surprised. They already knew. They had heard whispers, seen guards moving more often, watched ships come and go without telling anyone. Why? "We're not just guests," Jason said. "We're test subjects." Drake nodded. "They invited us to see if we'd behave, if we'd fit in. But we didn't. So now they want us gone." Laura looked tired. "What can we do?" Jason stood up. "We make sure we're not easy to forget. Play resume." Breaking the rules that night, Drake did something big. He hacked into the station's main system. He didn't destroy anything. He just opened a door. He created a hidden network, a way for humans to talk without the aliens knowing. Didn't you? Spread fast. Word passed through rooms, corridors, and cafeterias. "We're being watched. They don't want us here. We have to be ready." Soon every human knew. Some were scared. Some were angry. Some just wanted to survive. And that was dangerous. Because when humans feel trapped, they start to fight. A small rebellion. The next morning, something happened. A human child got hurt. Was playing near a food hall when a heavy machine fell. It landed on his leg. His parents screamed. Alien medics came. They said he would heal. But the parents didn't care. They wanted justice. They wanted answers. They wanted someone to blame. So they stood outside the council hall, holding signs, shouting names, calling out lies. It was not loud, but it was new. Never before had a guest protested. Never before had a species demanded fairness without asking for power. The aliens didn't know what to do. They sent guards. They tried to stop the protest, but the humans didn't run. They stayed. They held their signs. They stared at the guards, and slowly, others began to join. Aliens watched from windows. They whispered, "What is this? Why do they do this?" Are they starting a war? No one answered, because no one knew. The leak later that day, Drake did something even bigger. He found a hidden file. It was buried deep in the station's core. It had a title. Project Echo, Containment Protocols for Unstable Species. He read it, and his blood ran cold. It listed ways to control guests who became a problem, ways to remove them, to silence them, to erase them. He sent copies to everyone, every human, even some aliens. The truth spread like fire, and once it burned, there was no going back. The fear grows. When the council found out, they panicked. They called meetings. They shut down systems. They blamed the humans. But the damage was done. Now, everyone knew. The Deathworld Alliance had never trusted them. They had only been watching, waiting, testing, until they decided what to do. And now? Now the humans were awake, and they were angry. The choice Jason stood in front of a group of humans. They were tired, scared, ready. He looked at them. "We can't pretend anymore," he said. "They don't want us here. They never did." Laura stood beside him. "They think we're dangerous," she said. "Maybe they're right." Drake stepped forward. "They think we'll follow their rules. But we don't play by rules, we don't." "Understand," Jason nodded. "So what do we do?" Silence. Then a voice from the crowd. "We show them what real danger looks like." More voices rose. "Yes. Make them remember us. Don't let them send us away." Jason looked at Laura. She sighed. "I didn't come here to start a war." "No," Jason said. "But maybe we have to finish one." The station was quiet. Too quiet. After the leak, after the protest, after the truth came out, everything had changed. Humans were no longer guests. They were something else, something dangerous, and the Deathworld Alliance didn't know what to do. The Watchers. Become the target's security stepped up. Alien guards walked the halls more often. Cameras blinked in corners that had never been watched before. Some humans were followed, others were questioned. One man, Mike Taylor, vanished after asking too many questions about Project Echo. No one saw him again. Fear spread, not just among humans. Even some aliens began to worry. They had lived through wars. They had seen species rise and fall. But they had never seen a species change so fast. Jason takes control. Jason knew it was time to act. He gathered his people. "We can't wait," he said. "They're going to send us back." Laura looked at him. "Maybe that's better," she said. "Maybe we should leave before it gets worse." Jason shook his head. "They won't let us go." Drake nodded. "They'll deport us. Or worse." Laura sighed. "What do you want to do?" Jason looked around the room. "I want to be ready." That night, Jason started building something. Not an army. Not yet. But something close. A network. A way for humans to stay connected. To move together. To fight if they had to. He called it the Free Hands. Laura tries one last time while Jason prepared for war. Laura tried for peace. She met with the floating alien again. "I know what you're planning," she said. "You think we're dangerous." The alien floated silently. "You invited us here," she continued, "to see what we would do. Well, now you know. We ask questions. We break rules. We don't follow your model." The alien tilted its glowing body. "You are unpredictable. That's not a crime. It is when you threaten balance." Laura leaned forward. "We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to be treated like equals." The alien paused. Then it spoke. "Equality must be earned," Laura stood. "Then give us a chance." The alien did not answer. It only watched as she left. Drake finds the weak spot back in the hidden network. Drake kept searching. He found more files. more secrets. One file showed a list of species labeled as high risk. At the top was a name. Zalari Concordia Station. Security Overview. Inside, Drake found what he needed. The station had blind spots, weak points in the system, places where humans could hide, where they could strike, where they could escape. He shared it with Jason. Jason smiled. "This is how we survive," he said. Drake looked worried. "This is how we start a war." Jason didn't answer, because maybe he was right. A test of strength. Few days later, the council made a move. They called for a joint military exercise. It would take place on the training deck. Aliens versus humans. No weapons, just hand-to-hand combat. The message was clear. Show us what you're made of. Prove you belong, or prove you don't. Most humans wanted to refuse. But Jason saw it differently. "This is our chance," he said. "We show them we're not afraid." Laura didn't like it. "They're trying to humiliate us. Then we make sure they remember this day." The fight. The training deck was full. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy stood in rows. They watched as two teams took the floor. Team 1, elite fighters from the Varkai Empire, tall, strong, trained from birth. Team 2, humans led by David Reyes, a former soldier who had fought in deserts and cities. The match began. The Varkai moved fast. They struck hard. They expected victory, but David didn't fight like they did. He didn't stand and block. He moved. He dodged. He used tricks. He made them miss. Then he hit them. One by one, the Varkai fell. When it was over, the humans had won. Silence filled the room. Then whispers. "They cheated." "No rules were broken," Laura said from the crowd. "They don't fight fair. They fight smart." The aliens looked confused. Not angry. Not yet. Just surprised. The humiliation. The next day, the Varkai leader demanded a rematch. He called the human win a mistake. He said humans were cowards, that they used lies instead of strength. Jason heard him. So did others. That night, someone leaked a video. It showed the Varkai team talking before the match, laughing, calling humans animals, saying they'd crush them. The video spread fast. Anger rose. Not just among humans. Some aliens agreed. They insulted the game, said, "A four-eyed traitor from the Zalari race." "They broke honor," said a warrior from the Zarnak. The Varkai denied it, but the damage was done. Their reputation cracked. And the humans? They became legends. The deportation begins. 2 weeks later, the council made a choice. They decided to remove key humans, quietly, without warning. At dawn, security forces arrived at Laura's door. They told her she was being sent home. She asked why. They didn't answer. They just led her away. Jason watched from a distance. He didn't move. Not yet, but he remembered. Later that day, Drake got a message. His name was on a list. So was David's. So were dozens of others. They were being taken off the station, sent back to Earth, like trash. The first move. That night, Jason made his first real move. He and his team took control of a small ship near the edge of the station. It was old, broken, but Drake fixed it. In hours, it was flying, and it wasn't going back to Earth. It was heading into deep space. The council reacted fast. They sent ships to stop it. But Jason was faster. Jumped to hyperspace before they could catch him. The message was clear. We are not yours to control. The message that changed everything. As the stolen ship disappeared, a signal was sent across the station. It came from Drake. It played in every room, every hallway, every screen. It was short. Only 6 words. "You invited us into your house. You should have locked the doors." And then silence, followed by fear. Because now everyone knew. This wasn't just a test anymore. It was a war. And the humans had made the first move. The message had been sent. 6 simple words. You invited us into your house. You should have locked the doors. It played again and again across the station's screens. Some aliens laughed. Others frowned. A few watched with fear in their eyes. But most understood one thing. The humans were no longer guests. They were something else now. And they weren't going home. The council reacts. Inside the council chamber, voices rose. This is a threat, said the floating alien. No, said Vorik, the stone-skinned giant. It is a warning. They have stolen a ship, said another, and broken our laws. They are showing us who they are, said Vorik. Not what we hoped they would be. Silence followed. Then came the decision. A full review of human presence on the Zilari Concordia station. Security was increased. Human movement was restricted. No more freedom. No more trust. Not anymore. Laura sat in a cold room. No windows, no lights. Only metal walls and silence. She had been taken from her quarters without warning. Now she waited. For hours. Then days. No one told her why. No one came to talk. She knew what this was. Isolation, fear, control. But it didn't work, because Laura had learned something long ago. Humans don't break when you lock them up. They plan, they wait, and then they strike. Jason returns. Jason's stolen ship moved through space. Fast, quiet, hidden. He had gone far enough to disappear, but not far enough to forget. He and his team studied maps. They listened to old data. They found weak spots in the station's defenses. Drake had left him a gift, a hidden backdoor in the system. One last favor, one last key. So when Jason returned, he didn't come alone. He brought weapons, plans, and a message for the council. We're not leaving. Drake fights from within back on the station. Drake worked fast. He had only hours before the council would find him. He uploaded new programs. He changed access codes. He created fake signals that made it look like Jason was coming from 3 different directions at once. Alien ships turned in circles, chasing ghosts. Meanwhile, Drake moved. He met with others. David Reyes, a woman named Kim Harris, who had once been a pilot, a man named Inidi Ben Carterson who knew how to fight. Together, they built a plan. Take control of part of the station. Hold it, use it as leverage, make the council listen, or make them fear. The uprising begins at dawn. Alarms rang. Not from outside, from inside. Doors sealed, lights flickered, communication. Lines went dead. In the lower levels of the station, humans took over. They used tools, not weapons. They rewired systems. They cut power to security hubs. They blocked alien patrols, and they held their ground. David led the first wave. He and his team took over the main food hub, then the supply storage, then the docking bay. They didn't destroy anything. They just made sure no one could take it back. And then they broadcast a message to every channel, every screen, every speaker. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. We asked for trust. You gave us chains. So now, we show you what we can do. Lord Tian, the council panics back in the chamber. The floating alien looked shaken. They've taken parts of the station, said a voice. They are not attacking, said another. But they are not leaving either. Vorik stood. We must speak with them. No, said a sharp-voiced alien. We crush them. That, said Vorik, would be a mistake. But the council had already made their choice. They sent in peacekeepers, tall armored beings with shock sticks and stun rounds. They marched toward the human-controlled zones. Their orders? Restore order, by force, if needed. The first fight, the peacekeepers arrived. They moved slow, calm, like they expected surrender. They didn't get it. David and his team had prepared. They had traps, booby-trapped hallways, fake exits, hidden wires. When the peacekeepers stepped forward, the floor beneath them sparked. Alarms sounded, lights went out. Then came the sound of boots. Running. Fighting. And then silence. When the lights came back, the peacekeepers were down. Not dead. Just stunned. Lying on the floor. Looking up at humans who stood over them, watching, waiting. Then David spoke. "You wanted to teach us order." He pointed behind him. "Now learn from us." Jason strikes. While the battle raged below, Jason struck from above. His ship broke through the outer shield. It wasn't fast, it wasn't strong, but it was full of surprises. Drake had given him the code to open a maintenance hatch. He used it. He landed inside the station and he walked out with a weapon in hand. Not to kill, but to warn. He moved fast. Found Kim. Found Ben. They opened doors. Released prisoners, reconnected the network, and sent one final message. The humans are awake. Watch what happens next. Laura breaks free. The message reached her. Locked away, alone, but not forgotten. When the alarms rang, her guards ran. They left her door open. She walked out. No one stopped her. She found a terminal. Logged in, used Drake's codes, and did something big. She released all the files. Everything the Council had hidden. Project Echo. Containment protocols. Secret reports. All of it. She sent it to every species on the station, even the ones who had trusted the Council. Now, they saw the truth. That humans were never meant to stay, only to be tested, and then removed. The fear spreads. The station shook with noise, not war, not yet, but panic. Aliens talked in secret. Some agreed with the humans. Others feared them. Some called for peace. Others called for blood. The Council tried to regain control. They issued new orders. They declared martial law. They demanded full surrender, but no one answered. Because the humans had done something the Deathworld Alliance never expected. They had made the other species question the Council, question the rules, question the idea that humans were just wild animals, and that was dangerous, more dangerous than any weapon. The station was no longer under full control. It had become a battlefield of ideas, fear, and movement. Humans were not just fighting to stay. They were showing what they could do when cornered, and the Deathworld Alliance finally understood, something too late. Humans didn't just survive chaos, they thrived in it. Jason takes. Command Jason moved through the halls like he owned them. He wasn't alone. Kim Harris walked beside him, her eyes sharp, her steps sure. Behind them came David Reyes and his team, tired, but ready. They had taken parts of the station. Now, they needed to hold them. "We need weapons," Kim said. "Real ones." Jason nodded. "I know where to find them." He led them toward the old storage bay, a place most aliens avoided. It was filled with broken ships, outdated tech, and forgotten war machines. But Drake had told him one thing before he disappeared. "There's a ship there. Damaged, but fixable. If you can get it running, we might have a chance." So they went, and they found it. A warship from the Varkai Empire, old, broken, but still strong. Drake fights. From the shadows, Drake was still on the station, but he wasn't hiding. He was working. He had taken over part of the alien network. He changed messages, faked reports, sent fake orders to enemy units. One group of peacekeepers got a message saying their commander wanted them to retreat. They did. Another group was told to move into a section that had been booby-trapped. They never came out, and all the time, Drake watched. He listened, he learned, and he played both sides, because he knew something the Council didn't. Fear spreads faster than truth, and confusion kills faster than bullets. Laura changes the game. Laura stood in front of a screen. She was still in prison clothes, still tired, But now, she had power, she had access, she had proof, and she was going to use it. She sent out a new message, not just to humans, to everyone. You invited us here to study us, to see if we would follow your rules. But we don't follow rules. We don't understand. We don't trust those who hide the truth, and we won't be silenced. Then she showed them everything. Project Echo. Secret plans. Hidden files. Every lie the council had told. Every order they had given. Every secret meeting. And this time, she didn't just send it to humans. She sent it to all species, even the ones who had trusted the council. Now they saw the truth, that humans weren't the only ones being watched, that the council had plans for everyone, plans for control, for silence, for removal. And now they were afraid. The council falls apart inside the chamber. Voices rose. Some shouted, others whispered. They had lost control, not just of the humans, of everything. They're turning the others against us, said one council member. They're making us look weak, said another. Vorik stood. We should have talked to them, he said. Not tested them. The floating alien looked at him. What would you have done? I would have treated them as equals. Silence followed. Then came the decision. Evacuate all high-ranking members, all key personnel. Leave the station. Let the humans have it, until the rest of the galaxy could decide what to do. David leads the fight. David Reyes stood on top of a broken platform. Below him, humans gathered. They were tired, scared, but ready. We've taken the lower levels, he said, but they're still watching us, still waiting. Kim stepped forward. They'll come back, with more force. David nodded. Then we make sure they regret it. He split the group. Half stayed behind to guard what they had. The other half moved forward, toward the upper decks, toward the heart of the station. They didn't go looking for war, but they were ready for it. And when they met the first line of alien guards, they didn't run, they didn't ask questions. They fought, fast, smart, dirty, and when the battle ended, the humans stood tall, and the aliens, they ran. Jason brings the ship. Online back in the storage bay, Jason and Kim worked fast. The ship groaned. Its systems flickered, but slowly it came alive. Drake's codes helped. So did Ben Carter's skills. And then, the engines roared. Lights blinked. Alarms sounded. The ship was ready. Jason climbed aboard. Kim followed. So did David and his team. They didn't plan to leave. Not yet. They planned to attack. They flew low. Hit supply lines, destroyed command posts, used hit-and-run tactics. They didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like survivors, like people who had nothing to lose. And every time they struck, the council grew weaker, the station grew more unstable, and the message spread. Humans are not guests. They are not prisoners. They are not soft. They are dangerous. The station begins to fall. The damage added up. Systems failed. Power dropped. Doors locked. Aliens fled. Some tried to stop the humans. Most just wanted to survive. Laura kept sending messages. Drake kept changing codes. Jason kept flying. David kept fighting. And slowly, the station began to fall apart. Not from explosions, not from fire, from fear, from doubt, from the knowledge that the Deathworld Alliance had made a mistake. A big one. They had invited humans, thinking they could be controlled, thinking they could be studied, thinking they could be used. But instead, they had shown the galaxy what real danger looked like. The final message as the station burned inside, Jason stood in front of a camera. He spoke directly to the galaxy, not just to humans, to everyone. You invited us into your house. You should have locked the doors. You thought we'd follow your rules. You thought we'd be quiet. You thought we'd be easy to forget. But we are not your test subjects. We are not your prisoners. We are not your tools. We are humans, and we are just getting started. Then the feed cut. The lights dimmed, the core began to fail, and soon, the station would be gone. The station was gone. It had burned in silence, swallowed by its own broken systems and the weight of its own mistakes. What once floated among the stars as a symbol of unity had become a graveyard of arrogance. And from its ashes rose something anew, something feared, something remembered: humans. A galaxy changed across the galaxy. The news spread fast, not through official channels, not through council reports, through whispers, through fear. Some species watched with awe, others with horror, but all saw the same truth. The Deathworld Alliance had made a mistake, a big one. They had invited humans into their world, thinking they could be studied, controlled, used. Instead, humans showed them what real danger looked like. And now the galaxy would never forget. The survivors returned. Jason's ship limped back to Earth. Its hull was scorched, its engines barely held together. Most of the crew were alive, some were not. Laura sat in the corner, silent. She had seen too much, done too much. She no longer looked like a diplomat. She looked like a soldier. Drake leaned against a wall, watching the stars. He didn't speak, didn't smile, just stared. David Reyes stood near the front, looking out at the blue planet below. Earth, home, or what was left of it. They landed in a field outside Denver, same place where it had all started. This time there were no cameras, no welcome party, only silence and waiting eyes. Heroes or monsters, the humans who returned were not the same ones who had left. They had fought, they had bled, they had won. But at what cost? Laura tried to explain. We didn't want this, she told the leaders, but they gave us no choice. Some believed her, others didn't. Some called them heroes, others called them traitors. Some whispered that they had gone too far, that they had changed, that they had become something else. And maybe they were right, because Jason knew the truth. They weren't just survivors, they were warnings. Fear spreads. In the weeks that followed, messages came from space, not from the council. They had vanished after the station fell, but from other places, from colonies, from trading hubs, from alien ships. They all said the same thing: do not invite humans. Some species cut off contact, others built stronger defenses. One entire system closed its borders. They didn't attack. They didn't declare war. They just hid, because they had seen what happened when you brought humans into your world, and they didn't want to be next. Gaggard new legends. Rise back on Earth. Rise back on. Stories grew. Some were true, most were not. People said Jason could fight 10 aliens at once, that Drake had hacked an entire fleet with one hand, that David Reyes had walked through fire and come out smiling. Children whispered about them at night. Parents warned them not to dream too big, because if humans could do this in space, what else could they do? With the silence before the storm years passed, the galaxy stayed quiet. No more invitations, no more tests, no more experiments. Aliens watched from afar, waiting, watching, listening. They did not know what humans would do next, but they feared it, because humans were not like other species. They did not follow rules. They did not stay in their place. They did not forget. And now they knew what they were capable of. A message from the stars. Then one day a signal came, not from Earth, not from any known human colony, from deep space, beyond the last known edge of the galaxy. It played over and over, on every channel. In every language, even in dead ones. It said only 6 words, words that made even the strongest beings shiver. You invited us into your house. You should have locked the doors. Then silence. Heavy. Long. Final.